Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Nashville Predators Throwback 2000 franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode we had the trade deadline and we simulated the rest of the season, and obviously it was not a good season for our team, so we managed to have the 5th overall pick in this year's draft, which is exciting. So I'm excited to see who we end up grabbing with that selection. Also, what was pretty cool is the New Jersey Devils went on to win the Stanley Cup over the Anaheim Ducks, so we got a pretty similar result to real life, because obviously New Jersey won in real life over the Dallas Stars. However, obviously New Jersey and Dallas played in the Stanley Cup Finals only a few years after this, so I do really like how that ended up simulating. But I'll show you guys once again some of our player stats from the regular season before we get into this draft and whatnot. It's going to be an important offseason, I would say, for this team, but at the same time, we don't really need to rush things, which is good, so we don't need to be, like, bringing in good free agents necessarily right away. We could just start to, like, build up slowly via the draft, and also maybe bring in a couple free agents here and again to maybe bring in some picks and stuff like that via trades, all that type of thing. So, but you can see Greg Johnson pretty much led the way with the most points with 67 points down the middle. He was definitely the best. We didn't really get too much out of David Legwand. Like 24 points isn't bad, but obviously I'm hoping for a little bit more out of him once he starts developing a little bit more. Like he should be maybe like around an 81, 82 next season, my guess. Which will have him as like a legit third line, which is awesome. We also have Yachmanov, who had 59 points, so that was really nice to see, because Yachmanov is only 26 years old, so maybe he's a guy that we could build around for now as well. We also made a trade for Andreas Johansson, who actually used to play for the Predators with the Calgary Flames. We dealt Patrick Kjellberg to them, and then they dealt Patrick Kjellberg to Chicago, which is a little bit weird, but we brought in Johansson, and he hasn't really fit in that well so far. 5 assists only in 15 games. However, obviously our team in those 15 games we're trying to tank and not do so well, so you could probably see why he never scored a single goal in those 15 games. And then you have Ville Peltonen on like 25 points. Cote even had 11 points as an enforcer, which is kind of weird. We had Scott Walker at 54 points, Valachevic with 38. So I was pretty impressed, I'd say, with our depth scoring a little bit in the lineup. The defensive play was pretty good too, except for a couple guys like Richard Lintner was a minus 17. And then goalie-wise, our goalies were strong. Like, we were actually one of the better defensive teams in the league, which makes no sense. But we were one of the worser offensive teams in the league as well. So, obviously, the offense is definitely something we need to work on, but our defensive play was pretty damn good. And I don't know if it was led by our goaltending only, or if the defenders, like, having, like, Himo Timonen back there, Skraston's really helped out or not. Because, obviously, like, Miller, Lintner, and Vopat are all, like, 77 overall defenders. Berehowski's only like an 81, so it's not like our defensive core was that strong on paper, but it got it done. So anyways, there's that, and let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into the 2000 NHL entry draft, and we'll also do the Resign stage in this episode, and prime up free agency for next episode, which hopefully there'll be some interesting free agents out there so we can see where they sign and all that type of thing. So the first comment is from Tyler G 1994, who says, I would be a fan of getting Hartnell. Maybe you could get Kronwall though. I think it would be cool to grab DiPietro in a later round too. So he's saying it would be he'd be a fan of getting Hartnell or Kronwall. Kronwall obviously is a decent defenseman, but I don't think I would prefer him over Scott Hartnell, just because Scott Hartnell's projected top 5. Meanwhile, Nick Kronwall's projected 12th overall, and obviously we don't have another first-round pick, so I'd have to probably try and trade backwards, which is not really that easy to do in this game. So I probably will lean towards drafting Scott Hartnell, who obviously was drafted actually by the Nashville Predators, so this will be an interesting one. What's kind of funny is I didn't realize it made him have a weakness in character. I don't know how it generates those type of stats, but that's kind of funny because I feel like Scott Hartnell's a cool dude, but then again, I've never met him either, but and he's his similar style is to Claude Giroux, which is kind of funny though. So obviously Hartnell and Giroux were teammates in Philadelphia, so I like that comparison a little bit, even though it doesn't really make much sense, because I'd say Hartnell obviously is a power forward, meanwhile Giroux obviously a very good playmaker. The next comment is from Trailer Park Boys, who says, it would have been funny if Scott Hartnell had the Scott Hartnell player comparison, since his name is spelled wrong in the game. Also, Torrey Krug is spelled Torrey Krug in the game. Just wanted to bring that up since it's pretty funny. And yeah, that would have been pretty funny if they would have actually had Scott Hartnell, like, as a comparison with Scott Hartnell. I know with one of my roster builds, I can't remember exactly which one, because I've done a shit ton of them, but my Chris Chelios that I made was actually compared to Chris Chelios. So I think that was actually my 1979-80 build, if I remember right, because I think he was an early draft pick in one of the first years, but it was really weird that he was actually compared to his real life self. So it just goes to show you how accurate my rosters are, I guess. The next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, really like the trades you made for the team. Also enjoying looking at the trades at the deadline. Thanks for doing this. And no problem, I like looking at those trades as well. It's it kind of gives a little bit more of a kind of interest to what the heck the league's going like on this point in time. Because obviously with the throwback rosters, you have no idea what the heck these teams are going to be looking like by year 5. So it's just kind of interesting to like look and see every year what happens in terms of trades, what happens in terms of signings, draft picks, that type of thing. So we'll try and do that as in depth as possible. The next comment is from Sound Otaku. Says the trade deadline episodes are going to be the most fun to watch, at least for several seasons before EA generated players take over. Appreciate you breaking down the players involved a bit, since I was in college when this would have taken place and I wasn't able to watch much hockey. Don't worry about trying to trade up in the draft and go with Hartnell. I also like DiPietro as a potential later round pick. So yeah, I had no worries about that, Sound Otaku. And it's kind of funny that you said that you're in college in 2000, just because of the fact that like I finished college like 20 years later than that. So that's kind of crazy to think about. But he's also saying to go with Scott Hartnell with our pick, so that's obviously what we're going to be doing. And once again, he also does agree with what Tyler was saying in taking DiPietro as a later pick, which I think is a good option, obviously, for our second round selection, because DiPietro, for some reason, even though I made him a pretty good overall goalie out of the draft, he is not projected to go until, I think it was like around this stage. Did I pass him already? I might have passed him already. Yeah, I think I passed him already. But he's not projected to go till like second round, so we'll likely take Rick DiPietro with our pick because he's the next best goalie other than Henrik Lundqvist, according to this. Even though technically I would say Brzgalov was the better goalie in real life, obviously, but we'll probably go with DiPietro because he'll probably be able to play easily in the AHL next season, and obviously then we could hopefully get him to the NHL as soon as possible. But then again, we also do have Thomas Vokoun, so who knows if DiPietro is going to be the starting kind of guy, or if Vokoun will be the starting guy, or if Vokoun gets dealt at some point. Maybe we change history a little bit up. The next 3 comments are from Jared the Rabbit. The first one says, this roster brings me back to when I whooped the butts of the Boston Bruins as the Vancouver Canucks on the PS1 version of NHL 2000 on the hardest difficulty, as well as creating random players in NHL 2001 on the PS2 in 2014, with one of those being 12 going on 13-year-old Austrian named Bernard Setzinger. That trade in which Kjellberg was dealt to Calgary for Johansson and those 2001 draft picks was pretty neat, as Johansson played with the Predators a few years after this season. Also, a suggestion, EA has the technology to give your Be A Pro a headshot, so maybe they could implement that for franchise to make these roster builds, and especially the late stages of mode, more lively. And, okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So that's pretty cool about what you were saying with NHL 2000 and 2001. I didn't even actually play those games really that much because I think I played them on an emulator a bit, but obviously my first NHL game was 2003, and I knew about the Johansson deal that you were mentioning. And as you were saying about the headshots and stuff like that, instead of just having a generic silhouette, I know that's been brought up countless times by us franchise mode guys. Hopefully it's a thing that they add in the future for sure, because obviously I know that technically they have the technology in Be A Pro to do it, but it does take a lot of work for them to implement it into other things like franchise mode and whatnot. So hopefully it's something that they get to at some point in the next few games or something like that, at least, because obviously that would make definitely a lot more interesting to see these generated headshots of my custom Rick DiPietro face over a silhouette, for example. Jared also says Titov was in Anaheim for the following season in our timeline, and in this franchise mode, which is interesting, I didn't realize he actually got dealt to Anaheim. So thanks for bringing that up. I didn't realize the fact probably when I was saying it that Titov went to Anaheim. I probably knew about that, but I probably just completely didn't even think twice for some reason that that's where he actually went. So that's pretty neat. And then he also brings up another one where he says, also Murphy was actually a Bruin at this time. He signed with the team in November 12th, 1999 and was claimed by the Capitals via waivers on February 10th, 2000. So that's also kind of interesting because in this franchise mode, he was dealt at the deadline to the Boston Bruins back from Washington. So it's kind of neat that he went back to the team he started the season off with. Next comment is from Jason V. Myers, 1998, who says, I would try and trading up from 5th to 3rd in the first round and package 1 second rounder for this year and a second of your highest trade value expiring, or 2 of your highest trade value expiring contracts. Just a thought, or if you're looking to move back to the 2001 or 2003 draft, Trade the second picks for later picks. Love this series so far, and I started franchise myself with those Dallas Stars. Love the roster and time you put in. I appreciate that, man. And even though that is kind of an intriguing thing to do, is try and move up or trade picks for later years, I think we'll probably just keep it to a minimum in terms of that. So we probably won't do any moves in terms of like our picks and stuff at the draft. But maybe in future years we'll do that once it gets to a stacked draft class like 2003 or something like that. That would be pretty awesome. So the next comment is from Flame Husky, who says, Sean Avery for the memes, do it. So he wants me to draft Sean Avery, who I think was projected to go second round, if I remember right. Oh, yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's projected early second round. I don't really know. He is, like, pretty close to being his highest potential, I think. Or he's 3 years out, it says, but I know that he's definitely close to making the NHL in a sense. But I can't remember what overall and potential I gave him, but I mean, if we wanted to get grit, we could, but at the same time, it depends if we're selecting in that area to grab him or not, because obviously DiPietro is more of an important player, I'd say, than Sean Avery is for this team. And the last and final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, get Alex Burrows, wink. And I don't know if I would get Alex Burrows, because Alex Burrows is also a little bit of a douchebag, kind of like Sean Avery was. Also, Rafi Torres is a bit of a douchebag. Like, they have a lot of douchebags in this draft. So, I don't know if I would go for Alex Burrows. He is supposed to be a late first-round pick, so probably not, considering I don't think we're going to be able to move into the late stages of the first round that easily. But it will be interesting to see where he ends up going if he goes to, like, Vancouver or something like that. So, anyways, there is that, and we're able to now get into the 2000 draft, so let's do that. Like I said, I don't think we're going to make any trades in this episode, but it will be interesting to obviously see where players go at this draft and all that type of thing. Okay, so well, let me just take a look at the message center for fun. Todd White had 4 points apparently. Final score is 5-1. Nicholas Anderson was unstoppable. So that's in the AHL. That's the Phantoms in the finals game. I guess Nicholas Anderson had a 4-point game in the last game. That's kind of crazy. Huh, okay. Well, let's see where all these players go up to our picks. So, obviously, Vancouver's got first overall, which means likely Marian Gaborik will be going there. Then the 2 EA-generated guys going to Washington and Montreal. And that means Chicago probably will be grabbing Danny Heatley in this draft, unless they decide to go for Hartnell for some reason, and then Heatley falls to us, which would be kind of weird. So, yeah, I'm excited to see just where everybody that I've made went, because obviously I'll kind of compare it a little bit to in real life in a sense, and where these players actually were drafted to or whatever. So anyways, first overall selection, who is Vancouver taking? Are they taking Gaborik? Yes, they are. 82 overall medium elite sniper. I'll show you guys what Marian Gaborik is looking like. Looks like he has no X factors right now, unless it's just, I thought I gave him X factors. Yeah, I think I probably did. So he probably is just not showing any X factors, but obviously very good shooter and very good offense. He's going to be one of the best goal scorers probably in this franchise mode, just because of the fact that obviously he gets to start his career out with a pretty solid Vancouver team. I mean, both Sedins would be in Vancouver at this point as unsigned prospects. So imagine at some point you have Daniel Henrik and you have Marian Gaborik next to them. That's going to be pretty insane. So shout out to the Vancouver Canucks adding Marian Gaborik, or should I say Gaborik, I guess, at this point in time, because I think that's how some of the commentators and stuff used to pronounce his name, even though that was incorrect. Washington at 2. Will they take one of the generated? Yes, they will. So there is D. Ennis, or Dennis, it looks like. Don Ennis. 2-way forward. Interesting. And then we have Montreal at number 3. They take Appleby. So once again, 2 generated guys. Not bad. Colton Appleby. And Chicago, will they take Danny Heatley or will they take Scott Hartnell from us? Probably they'll take Danny Heatley. And they do, yep. There goes Danny Heatley to Chicago. And obviously there's his X factors and stuff as well. He doesn't have the best shooting out of the gate, because obviously it took him a while until he got 50 goals in 07. And Gaborik was definitely the better of the two early on, I would say. But that's a pretty damn good pick there for the Chicago Blackhawks. Like, he definitely will be good at some point next to, I guess, who do they have already on this team? Jamnov, maybe he would be good next to. But then again, who knows how long Jamnov will be in Chicago for. So it's a good addition, though, to obviously help them out in terms of rebuilding. And who knows if he'll help them win a Stanley Cup in the years that they actually won a Stanley Cup, like 2010 or not. But it's kind of funny that Hossa actually played for Chicago in 2010. And obviously Heatley and Hossa were dealt for each other. So kind of neat about that. Alright, so our selection here, obviously we're going to take Scott Hartnell. and hopefully he could fit in well with this team. I think, yeah, it says he's NHL ready, so I think I made him a pretty decent overall. So he should get into our lineup as early as next season if he's actually that good. Or we could maybe wait a year in junior if we want to, but I think I'll probably sign him out of the gate. So Scott Hartnell, welcome to the Nashville Predators. Let's see how good you are. I don't remember. 79. Okay, yeah, I did make him pretty good. So he's literally as good as David Legwand out of the draft, which is pretty nice. Already listed as a fourth line forward and does have his little abilities as well. This is what he's looking like. Not as good of a shooter, obviously, he's like Danny Heatley and stuff, but still pretty good. Does have some offensive awareness, but obviously some of it needs work. But he's pretty well built. As you can see, not a lot of weakness. Can't take face-offs, that's one thing. But in general, he's just a well-built machine pretty much. He doesn't have great discipline either, so he might take a lot of penalties. But he has Make It Snappy, Tape to Tape, Truculence, and Big Tipper. I don't know if I gave him Big Tipper. I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I gave him Big Tipper, so I think he generated that in the draft, which is interesting. I think I definitely gave him Truculence, and I probably gave him Make It Snappy, but he might have generated like Tape to Tape and stuff, which is kind of weird. Huh, alright. So there is the top 5 of the draft. We'll sim to our next pick, and then we'll go back into the first round and just see what the AI have been grabbing in terms of the other guys. Or we could wait till the end of the draft and just see where everybody went. Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. So that way we could actually take a look at like the entire draft recap. So let's enter our next pick at 33. We have, wait, in the second round, where are we selecting for the all of our picks? Because 33 could get us one of those other guys that you guys were mentioning. So we have, let's see, so early 33. Then we have 18, which would be, trying to do some math here. We should be able to get DiPietro with that selection. Yeah, I should be able to get DiPietro with one of these 2 picks. So I might be able to get somebody else with that earlier selection. So let's sim anyways to our next selection. And like I said, we probably will do a little bit of a draft recap after this as well to see where people went. Sean Avery literally just went off the board before our selection to the Calgary Flames. So unfortunately, Husky, I was not able to grab him. I thought he was going to maybe fall a little bit, but there he goes to the Calgary Flames. So that's an interesting one there. Calgary gets a little bit grittier. Alright, so what are we going to take here with this pick? I'm leaning towards maybe Brooks Orpik with an early pick. I don't mind that. There is a generated guy named Justin Cummins, but I don't really know if I want to take generated guys in the series yet. But I think I might lean towards Brooks Orpik because Pavel Vorobiev, to me, not really worth the pick. Obviously, he was kind of like a guy that could make the NHL pretty quick out of the draft, but also he wasn't really in the NHL that long term. Jim Vandermeer is already 19. This guy's a generated guy. And then Brooks Orpik, to me, is a good shutdown top 6 defenseman. Can block some shots, could help us out. He definitely won some good Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh, so I think he would help us out a lot. So I think I'm going to go here with Brooks Orpik as our early second round selection. So welcome aboard, Brooks. Yeah, I made him a top 6 defenseman. I could have maybe made him like a high top 6, because I'm pretty sure at some stages he played maybe in the top 4 as a shutdown role, but he does have truculence. I remember I gave him that because the guy could hit for days. So there you go. Brooks Orpik has joined our future of our blue line. Hopefully he actually grows in this franchise mode. I'll be sure to get him signed regardless, but hopefully actually generate some good enough growth to make our team at some point. Let's sim to our next pick at 46, where we should be able to grab Rick DiPietro. We should be able to. Let's take a look. Is DiPietro still there? Yes, he is. Okay, nice. So Rick DiPietro is going to be the next selection. I don't remember what overall I made him, but he's definitely a pretty high overall out of the draft, and I believe he has starter potential, so this should be a decent goaltender to hopefully build around for the future of this team. So welcome aboard, Rick DiPietro. Yeah, 77 overall. It sucks that he can't go first overall in this, but he does have adventure because in real life he actually had a good amount of assists for the amount of games he played. So that's why I gave him that. But welcome aboard to Mr. DiPietro. That's pretty nice. He definitely will play in our AHL next year with probably with yeah, we might have some goalie dilemmas to make this offseason, because I'm thinking now we have right now Dunham and Vokun signed for the NHL. It would be DiPietro and Mason in the AHL, or DiPietro and Lassick. Lassick was actually pretty good last season. Mason is getting close to being an NHL backup, so we might have to think about moving out Dunham this offseason in like next episode if we want to, and that way we could have DiPietro playing with Lastic, or we just, I don't know. Because I think Mason could probably be our backup in the NHL next year, because we don't really care how we do next season. So that's an interesting dilemma, because yeah, DiPietro isn't NHL ready yet, so 1 year in the AHL would definitely do the trick for him though. Alright, anyways, let's into our next selection and see if we can find any more players that I made. Joel Ward just went off the board to Florida, it looked like. Damn, that sucks. David Hale, kind of a fringe defenseman. Same with Brett Lebda. Yeah, we're kind of in a weird territory. I might go with Thomas Kopecky, to be honest. Because to me, Brookbank, Lebda, Hale, they're all kind of like top 6 or low top 6 defenders, maybe 7th defenders. England obviously was a top 6 defenseman, but he's a very long ways away from making it. So that's the one thing. Kopecky is not that bad. Kalanos is kind of a fringe NHLer. And then we have like Travis Moen, which is not bad. Kevin Dahlman and Wanvig aren't really worth it. Wanvig's not even a guy I made. I was thinking of Kyle Wanvig, but he's already in this roster build. Oh man, I got confused for a sec. That's weird. Antti Miettinen, Greg Zanin. Zenon Konopka. Yeah, we get into like the bottom 6 type of guys. So I think I'm going to go with Mr. Thomas Kopecky with this next selection. So welcome aboard to Thomas, another left winger that also can play center. 54 overall, medium 9. I did make him a bit of a lower overall because it took him a while to make it, but there is Thomas Kopecky. A little bit of size to our lineup as well. Hopefully he develops, because I honestly don't know how these guys develop in franchise mode because I've never played it with my roster build yet, so at least this much into it. Travis Moen as our next selection. I think I might need to make that decision. Yeah, we'll go with Travis Moen. I mean, it's more grid for the bottom 6, and it's another left winger, but oh well. High bottom 6 potential, 64 overall, because he was in the NHL within a few years, like 3-4 years before he played with the Chicago Blackhawks, I think it was. So welcome aboard to Travis Moen. Yeah, we're getting into the stage where all my drafted players I made are going to be gone, I think. Yeah, I think we're almost at everybody's gone. Ramsey Abid's still there. I don't know if I really want Ramsey Abid. I think he did actually play for the Preds too at one point in like 07. Yeah, I think we're at the stage where literally we're going to be in full of generated guys. Ilya Burskalov is still there, but I'm not going to take him because we already drafted DiPietro. Telquist is still there, but and same with Joey McDonald. Dan Ellis did play for the Preds, but don't really need so many goalie prospects too. I'd rather the AI teams get some goalie prospects, so I think I am going to just go for Ramsey Abid and, yeah, help him fill out our lineup a little bit. 66 overall, medium bottom 6. Oh yeah, it's because he's going to be NHL bound soon. But he is already 20 years old, so not going to be the best player in the world, but he is a little bit of a higher overall, which is at least good. So there is Ramsey Abid. And we'll send to our next pick. The rest of these guys are probably all generated, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, never mind. Jared Smithson's still available, and he did play for the Preds too. I guess we got to go for Jared Smithson. He's another overager, but it does give more guys that could potentially play in our bottom 6. So welcome aboard to Mr. Jared Smithson. I know he's a good face-off guy, so he's also 66 overall, medium bottom 6. And yeah, I gave him 87 on the face-off dots. So if he makes the NHL, maybe this guy could win a Selke. Who knows? But I don't think he'll get enough face-offs to do that. But there's that. There looks like there has been some trades at this draft as well, which we will get to after the draft ends as well, just to see what happened. Alright, our next pick. This should be a generated guy now, right? Yes, I think so, yeah. We're into the generated territory, so I don't really care too much about these guys. Dan Ellis is still there. I guess I'll go for Dan Ellis. I didn't want to draft another goalie, but Dan Ellis playing for the Preds, it just makes sense. I just don't want to take as much generated guys as possible in these early years. So Dan Ellis has joined the Nashville Predators, and our last selection... Let's see if we could find one more. Craig Weller just went off the board. I forgot I even made him too. Is there anybody else that I actually made that's like a skater? Or is it just goalies? Looks like mostly generated guys. Oh, wait, no, Nathan Robinson's still there. You know what? For the memes, it's either Nathan Robinson or Joe Motzko. I got to go with Nathan Robinson. Why not? Why not? Yeah, we're going to go for Nathan Robinson here. And yeah, medium AHL top 6, but still, might as well put at least one player that I made in the series on that 7th round selection. So there's that, and that is our draft. So not a bad draft, I would say, for our team for sure. It's going to be interesting now to see where other players went around the league. So I'm going to remove my face for a second because obviously we do need to take a look at every single team and what they drafted as well. But you can see there's our selections: Hartnell, Orpik, DiPietro, Kopecky, Moen, Abid, Smithson, Ellis, and Robinson. But if we go round by round, this is what the first round looked like. So after our pick of Scott Hartnell, Justin Williams goes to the Calgary Flames. Alex Frolov goes to the Atlanta Thrashers. Paul Martin to the San Jose Sharks. That's actually kind of cool because obviously he played with the San Jose Sharks not too long ago. Antoine Vermette goes to the Tampa Bay Lightning. John Michael Lyles goes to the Canes, which I think he actually played for. Ron Hainsey goes to the Penguins, which he actually played for. Brad Boyes goes to the Islanders, which he actually played for. That's pretty neat. Chris Kunitz going to the LA Kings. Matt Lombardi getting drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. I'm pretty sure he actually got drafted by the Oilers. And then he went and re-entered a draft again and then got drafted by the Flames. Let me double check on that. I'm pretty certain on that, but I could be spitting shit, so who knows. Yeah, he was drafted in the 7th round this year, actually, by the Oilers. And then he re-entered the draft in 2002, where he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Calgary Flames. So, kind of neat. Klesla to Ottawa. Kronwall went to the Leafs. Crazy. Velchenkov to Dallas. Curtis Foster to Buffalo. Jarrett Stoll to the Rangers, which he actually played for. Henrik Lundqvist was drafted by the Florida Panthers. So since Florida doesn't have Roberto Luongo in the series because he's still an Islander at this point in time, that's a pretty good goalie addition for the Florida Panthers. Rene Bourque to St. Louis. Alex Burrows to Boston. Oh no, Tugi's going to have a complete hissy fit about that. Oh no. Hopefully they don't even play him because, yeah, Tugi hates Alex Burrows, and him being on Boston, that's like the worst case scenario for Tugi. Matt Pettinger to Arizona, or Phoenix, I should say, at least at this point in time. Nick Schultz to Philadelphia. He actually played there, so that's cool. Kurt Sauer to Colorado. He actually played there too. Rafi Torres to Anaheim, and Steve Ott was the last pick of the 1st round to the New Jersey Devils. 2nd round, Jason Williams going to the Vancouver Canucks. Andy Hilbert to Washington. Vernon Fiddler to LA. And then we saw Sean Avery to Calgary. And also Pavel Vorobiev goes to Calgary. Marcel Hossa to San Jose. Jim Vandermeer to Tampa Bay. Lassie Kukkonen to San Jose. Paul Gostad to Pittsburgh. Michel Ouellet to Edmonton. Pascal Dupuis to Ottawa. Marc-Andre Bergeron to San Jose. Joel Ward to Florida. Sheldon Brookbank to Phoenix. David Hale to the Islanders. Derek Engelland to Colorado. Brett Lebda to Edmonton. And Chris Kalanos was the last pick of the 2nd round to the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3rd round wise, Travis Moen was ours. Kevin Dahlman to Calgary. What else we got here? Antti Mietinen went to Tampa Bay. Greg Zanin to Carolina. Nikita Alexiev to Pittsburgh. Brian Sotheby to Tampa Bay. Mikhail Yakubov to Ottawa. Ryan Beta to San Jose. Vaclav Nedoros to the Rangers. Zenon Konopka to Atlanta. Mike Danton to San Jose. Brad Winchester to Dallas. Joel Lundqvist also going to Florida. Let's go. So Joel and Henrik Lundqvist were drafted by the same team in the draft. That's pretty damn cool. So shout out to the Florida Panthers for making the series more interesting. Matt Ellis to Anaheim. Matt Hendricks to Pittsburgh. David Kochi to Philadelphia. And that's it for the 3rd round. 4th round wise, Darcy Hordichuk to Washington. What else we got here? Trying to make sure I pick out every single player, because some of you guys want to know about these guys. Ilya Brzgalov to the Dallas Stars. Pretty good late round steal there for them. And that's not Colby Armstrong, right? I don't think that's Colby Armstrong. Did I make Colby Armstrong in the 1st year draft? He might be. That might be him going to Colorado. I don't remember which draft he was a part of. What else we got here? Mike Rupp to Washington. Michael Telquist to Montreal. Interesting because he played for Toronto. Anything else? Dominic Moore to Florida. Joey McDonald to St. Louis. 6th round wise, anything else here to look at? Jeff Toffee or whatever to Pittsburgh, which he actually played for, so that's neat. Damn, there's so many names on these damn lists. That's good on there. 7th round wise, Craig Weller to Chicago. And I think that's probably it, right? Unless there's one last guy, which there is not. So that is the 2000 NHL entry draft. Hopefully you guys like that little recap. Kind of neat, though, that both Lundqvist went to the Florida Panthers. Was not expecting that. All right, next start is the Resign stage, which won't take that long because we don't have a lot of guys to resign. And then we'll be able to take a look at the free agent market and also see the trading blocks. So that's going to be pretty damn exciting. So let's sim to this Resign stage. We might re-sign a couple players on our roster. We might, because they're not the biggest names in our world, but still give us a little bit more depth. I do think I'm going to let go of Phil Crow for sure, though. He is, like, not that great. I could bring him back, but we're going to let him go. I'm going to let go of Corey Millen as well. Those guys were just kind of filler players anyways. Jan Vopot and Cote, I honestly could just bring back as depth for now. And I'm going to just qualify all these RFAs, because that's normally what I do with RFAs anyways. So what is Vopot looking for? He wants a one-way deal, not a surprise. We'll just give him what he's asking for pretty much, because he's going to be a depth defenseman or a top 6 defender for us next season. And then Patrick Cote. I don't know if we necessarily need Cote, because technically Hartnell is going to be jumping to the NHL next season. I am going to already sign him up. Trying to think if we need him yet, Cote. Because left wing wise, wow, we're actually building up a lot of good left wingers in a sense. Like, we technically have Johansson, Yachmanov, Peltonen already under contract. Nagy would be playing, Hartnell would be playing. Technically, that leaves Cote as a depth option, which is okay. That's not a big problem. I also could play some guys on the right side too. Yeah, I'm going to actually sign Cote just as a depth type of option. He also could play on the right side, even though he's technically not a right winger. It's just we could use him wherever we want. So let's just sign him up anyways. Give us a little bit more grit. And both those guys probably should accept. But if they don't, obviously we give them a little bit more money because there is no salary cap. So let's advance a day and see if those guys accept. So there is Patrick Cote. Welcome back. And Vopot is back too. Nice. And there's Hartnell getting his ELC. And we should be pretty much good to advance to free agency already, because all those RFAs are qualified and they'll likely accept for dirt cheap. So I think we're good. We have 42 out of 50 contracts. What do we need though for our roster going into next season? Let's see. We have 4, 5, 6, 7 potentially right there. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe. 14, 15 players, which is more than we need. We also could definitely make some trades next episode. Like, if I need to get Hartnell and Nagy higher in the lineup, we could move out Peltonen or a Yachmanov. But Yachmanov was good, so... Yeah, there is definitely players we could flip in next episode, too. Like, for instance, we might not need Bordelot. We might not need Robitaille when we have Legwand jumping up, potentially. So, yeah, we could definitely make some trades this offseason. And then goalie-wise, we do have that decision with Dunham because he is a pending UFA. DiPietro will get signed already to his ELC. Can I actually give him a contract? Yeah, I can. I have enough goalie space. I had to double-check on that. So DiPietro will get his ELC. So we'd likely be running Dunham and Vokun right now. But if we get rid of Dunham via trade, we run Vokun, and I'd say we'd run Mason. DiPietro would be playing in the AHL with Lassick. So I think we might have to make the decision to trade away Dunham also next episode for sure. So there is that, and I don't think anybody else is going to get their ELCs yet. Because, yeah, Erad, Abid, it's kind of pointless. At least we have a lot of good overalls in our prospect pool, but our prospect pool is still pretty barren. But it'll take a while to probably build that up. Let me advance a day just to see if DiPietro accepts, which of course he does. Let's advance to the free agency portion now. Let's see what is available. We'll actually take a look at the trading block first, I think. Just because the free agency portion is probably the very exciting part to see who is going to be a free agent this year. So let's take a look at the trading block first and foremost. See if there's any interesting potential trades for next episode. So there is prospects on the block, but what type of prospect should we bring in? I'll let you guys take a look and see basically at every single player here. So a lot of bottom six type of guys and physical kind of players in Anaheim. Arizona's got Sean Burke on the block, who's signed for 4 years. I don't think we need obviously another goalie because we are trying to get rid of Dunham. Wyatt Smith. I was thinking of Wyatt Johnson because the Dallas Vegas series, goddamn man. I am losing my mind apparently. Atlanta has nothing really there. Boston has Hines, Brown, Murphy on the block. Not really that interesting. Buffalo has like Alex Kolik is the best prospect, but he's not really developing. Grant Fear on the block. It's kind of funny. Wow, Gary Roberts on the block. He got paid some big money too. Craig McDonald, Joseph Vasicek. So there will be options, but I don't know if we will be able to bring in necessarily anything crazy this offseason in terms of trading wise. I mean, there is Henrik Zetterberg on the block, but I don't think I'm going to cheat the system. I'd ever always seen Detroit get rid of Henrik Zetterberg, and I would prefer them to hold on to him. But they honestly could trade him away at some point. But Henrik Zetterberg, obviously a really good player, but I think he needs to stay in Detroit. Because last year he played in Team Russ still, so he has not even played yet in the AHL. But he probably will this season. What else we got here? More enforcers and stuff in Florida again. Craig Johnson, Nelson Emerson, Ruchinski, Linden, Savage. Some really good players there in Montreal. Brian Giunta on the block, but he's kind of not developing too quick. Some of those guys could still develop for sure, but it's hard to tell. A lot of teams trying to get rid of their prospects because maybe they have good value, I guess. Radovan Solmik. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything that screams crazy in this trading block. Mike Ricci's on the block again. Stefan Matteau. Ronnie Stern, Ron Sutter. Okay. St. Louis has a lot on the block too. Tampa's got nothing. Yeah, I don't know if there's any like huge trades on the block. Trades for us on the block, but we are gonna have to still try and trade away some people though for sure, just to free up roster space. I think Sebastian Sharp and TA, and that's that. Yeah, that block is not really that intriguing to me. Okay, now comes the main event other than the draft. Who is available in free agency in 1999-2000? So I guess for the 2000 free agency class, we'll start by looking at goalies, even though we don't need goalies. We're going to skim over this quickly to UFA and to goalies. So the best goalie available in free agency at the moment is Mike Vernon, who's 37 years old. You also have Roman Cechmanek back in free agency, Ron Tugnut, Manny Fernandez, Garth Snow. There's some pretty good goalies out there, but like I said, we don't have any use for goalies. But it should be interesting to see where a lot of these guys end up going. Some of them will probably not even get contracts, but still it'll be kind of neat to see if any of them get to play with any teams that they actually played for. So a lot of these guys were actually free agents at the start of last season too, so it doesn't surprise me that they're still in the free agent pool. Alright, we head to defensemen. Wow, okay, that's a major deviation of NHL history for sure. Sergei Zubov has decided to leave the Dallas Stars. And he is a pending free agent at 29 years old. Wow. That's kind of crazy that Dallas didn't re-sign him. That's definitely a interesting decision considering there's no cap. Like, what the heck? 64 points in 82 games this season. 7 points in 7 playoff games. Damn, Sergei Zubov's a beast, but obviously we don't need to bring in super good players right now, but damn. Paul Coffey's also available, which is crazy, but obviously he's pretty old, 39. Gary Galley, Sylvain Cote, Jeff Norton, Marcus Ragnarsson, stuff like that. There's some pretty good defenders out there. Not gonna lie. It's pretty good ones. A lot of guys that are just like top 6 as well, so some useful players. I don't really know if we need to sign much in free agency, but if we want to sign players up, there's a lot of them. Okay, so now we're pretty much at the depth territory. Let's go over to right wingers. Who's the best right winger available? Alex Selivanov. Okay. Michael Renberg's a free agent. All right. Dixon Ward. Andrei Kovalenko. Not the best right wing pool. Not that we need really forwards, but like there's like Loni Bahonos and stuff. If any of you even actually know who the heck that is. There's a lot of enforcers as well. Like look at this, Jim Cummins, Bryant Myers, Kelly Chase, Jeff Odgers, and then what's Murray's first name? Chris? Yeah, Chris Murray. A lot of enforcers. And some of them won't get contracts for sure. Left wing wise, is there any good left wingers? Greg Adams, all right, that's not too bad, but he is 36. Shane Corson, Kevin Miller, I think that is, or is that Kip? Or is it, yeah, that's Kip. Okay, because there's Kip, Kevin, and Kelly Miller, so it's like who's who. You never know. Robert Cron, Wendell Clark's available, but he's also older. For younger players, there's Vadim Sherivijanov, who used to play for the Devils and Canucks. He's only 25. We don't need left wingers, but that wouldn't be a bad signing. Nazarov only 26. Yeah, I don't think we need any left wingers, so I'm not even going to really look too much in depth at this, but there's a lot of available players. A lot of enforcers again. You can see I make enforcers 76 a lot, because Reed Simpson, Stu Grimson, Matt Johnson, Christoph Odiwa, Chris King, Darren Langdon, Craig Berube. Like, it's crazy. Okay, center-wise, any crazy centers? No. Wow, the best center is Guy Carbonneau? Alright, so there's not the biggest free agent class other than Sergei Zubov, it seems like. Like, defensively is definitely where the top players are. But Guy Carbonneau as a veteran is not bad, but obviously I don't really think I need somebody like him on his team, and he probably wants to go to a cup contender. But yeah, Guy Carbonneau is a pretty good vet. Sean Van Allen, Knutson. Stacy Roost for a young guy, 26. It's not bad. So that's basically what's available in free agency. So if we go back to all skaters, yeah, Sergei Zubov, Paul Coffey are the best, and then the best forwards are Selivanov and Adams, which is not much. So a lot of guys got re-signed, I guess. Is there any RFAs this year? Michael Groshek's the only RFA forward right now. And no RFA goalies. Interesting. I do also want to actually take a look at how much players are, who's interested in some of these players. So Gary Galley has interest from 3 teams: Anaheim, Philadelphia, and Florida. He actually played for Philly, so that's kind of neat. Miller has interest from 3 teams: Tampa, Dallas, and Ottawa. All right. Who has interest in Sergei Zubov? Boston and Toronto. Sergei Zubov as a Bruin would be weird, and as a Leaf would definitely be weird. So hopefully he doesn't sign with one of those 2 teams. Greg Adams has interest from Atlanta and Vancouver, so he could go back to the Vancouver Canucks, where obviously he was the best of his career pretty much. Alex Selivanov has interest from St. Louis and New Jersey. Jeff Norton, Colorado and Phoenix. Patrick Traverse has interest from Washington and LA. And then Mike Stapleton has interest from Detroit and Edmonton. You have Paul Coffey with interest from only the Buffalo Sabres. Dixon Ward has interest from only the New York Rangers. Alex Karpatsev has interest from Pittsburgh. Dave Ellett from where? San Jose. And we have 2 more to take a look at. Sean Van Allen and Antti Laaksonen, and we'll take a look at the goalies too. Sean Van Allen has interest from the Canes. Antti Laaksonen has interest from the Montreal Canadiens. And then goalie-wise, there's 2 goalies with interest, Vernon and Czechmanek. Vernon has interest from the Calgary Flames. Hey, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Wasn't he in Calgary to start the series, or was he on a different team? I feel like he was already on the Flames to start the series. Let me take a look at his stats here. No, he was in Florida, so he actually could go back to the Flames. That's kind of funny. Like, he actually did in real life. I think he ended his career in the Flames, so that's neat. And Roman Czechmanek has interest from the New York Islanders. All right. So there is that. I do also want to take a quick look. Let me go to contracts for a second here. And go to Florida for something. I wanted to see if they have, like, actually, I want to see both Lundqvists for a second. So, yeah, Joel Lundqvist is there. Henrik Lundqvist already got signed to his ELC. Yeah, Henrik Lundqvist is already signed to his ELC. I'm kind of surprised about that, based on his age. So, Henrik Lundqvist will be playing in the AHL, I think, next season. But they do have a lot of goalies under contract. Like, they have 6 goalies under contract. So, Lundqvist likely gets scratched, which is not a great thing by Florida, but hey, oh well. So, there's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to take a look at. Oh, yeah, the trades that happened at the draft. Let's take a look at those trades. See who is dealt for who. So, a 7th round pick in František Kusera went to the LA Kings for a 6th round pick. Okay. A 4th and a 5th were dealt to a 4th was dealt for a 5th and Mike Eagles. So Mike Eagles going to the Devils. Pittsburgh acquires a 3rd for Yanni Laukinen and John Slaney. Interesting. San Jose a 3rd for Brian Marchman and Tony Granato. All right, so Detroit's loading up. Atlanta got a 3rd round pick for 2 7th round picks. What? How does that make any sense? Why did Atlanta get like a 3rd rounder for 2 7ths? Okay, so the Oilers GM is drunk. I don't understand that. Tampa Bay acquires a 3rd from Edmonton as well for a 6th and a 7th round pick. So I guess this year's draft was so weak, basically, that a 3rd rounder is equivalent to a 6th and 7th round pick in the year 2. I don't know, it's the same season. What? I don't understand that whatsoever. What the heck? That's like barely any value. So the Edmonton Oilers are doing some dumb shit. Tampa's acquired a 3rd rounder for a 6th and a 7th. Yeah, apparently moving into the 3rd round, you could literally give up jack shit. Because a lot of teams did it. I don't understand the logic behind that, and I am kind of confused. Peter Svoboda was dealt to Vancouver for a 2nd rounder. And then there was a trade to move in early stages of the 1st round, which is kind of neat because I don't see those that often, but Dallas acquires Rangers' 1st round pick for a 1st rounder and Tyler Bouk. That's kind of neat. Or Bouk. I think it's pronounced Bouk though, but that's crazy. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Nashville Predators Throwback 2000 franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to free agency. We'll see where a lot of those guys sign. And we'll also start up the next season in 2001 and see how bad we play. Because obviously, we're trying to tank for another season. And it'll be interesting to see who ends up like winning the Stanley Cup in 2001 and all that stuff, and see if we could kind of keep on their trajectory of kind of similar outcomes like the Devils winning the Cup in 2000. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.